there's usually these champions that you expect people to ban, and if that doesn't happen, you usually start thinking about why.
Most of the time it's about the player's pride, because you're like, I'm gonna ban this champion, and he's like, no, I can deal with it, I swear.
I think the team who just plays better as a team, and not just certain picks.
This is not the first time we see teams have a very specific target ban against Gambit.
The main reason why people leave obvious picks open would be because they have like a plan for it. It's just a bait.
Nice, let's go!
They want the enemy team to pick that champion and feel comfortable with it and then beat them on their own grounds.
This is the big plan.
Draven banned for the 11th time against Copenhagen Wolves. That's in 14 games.
I think people respect ban Draven from freezes because he's really good on Draven, and the champion is quite annoying to play against in lane.
Like if they ban it, sure, cool. But if they don't, I have to show them that they have to ban it.
Double kill for Draven as he gets his stacks cashed in. A triple kill. Oh baby, he's looking for more. Now as the axes come back, Freeze with the godlike kill. As low as he is on HP, he's able to pick up another.
Actually, I prefer when teams ban my champions because I feel like I can pretty much remove more burden from my other teammates.
Some people really like to ban Rumble against Huni because his Rumble is really good.
Oh, Shook realizes a little too late that he was there. That's first blood.
You show good stuff from 1-1 champion, and next week someone ban it.
Yeah, ban it with a smile.
The target bans just happen because they know you're playing an annoying champion and they don't want to deal with it. They just have no clue how to deal with it.
If you pick a comp that can deal with that champion easily, it shouldn't be a problem.
I don't think in Europe there's many players who really know which champions are really overpowered at the moment.
Go for this, go for this!
And they don't play it to the maximum.
It just comes to the point where you're like, we just don't want to deal with this guy.
Welcome back as Gambit and H2k take their places on stage. Let's focus in on the matchup in a minute though, because we just saw that closer look. Cyanide, what was the must ban versus your old Fnatic squad?
There was my Lee Sin, of course.
Yes.
But, well, in Season 3 there was like the Kassadin always, and
right.
there have been a few, depending on the meta.
How could I forget about the Kassadin?
Yeah.
Well, let's look at this matchup, and starting for Gambit, who are trying to get a lead in the summer playoff race with Cabo Shard, Diamond Prox, Betsy, Gosu Pepper, and their coach Shawns. And of course, on AD carry, it is Moops. Moops, who stepped in yesterday for Forgiven and who honestly did pretty well. But then the question when you look at a game like that, which was a very, very long game versus the Elements, would Forgiven have been able to tip the scales?
Oh, that's quite the strong question on that one. I don't actually think it would have made the massive amount of difference. I think Moops actually looked fairly strong, considering Moops is not an AD carry main when it looks at how he came into the squad.
I'm not sure how it went down, but I felt like Cabo Shard was kind of playing alone that game. Like literally, his TPs into Froggen was the only thing keeping them in the game. And if Forgiven had been there, maybe his cleanup would have been a bit better. He would have been more confident to go in with those Valkyries and clean up the fight and actually get something significant.
Well, woulda, coulda, shoulda. They're just going to have to do it here. They're up against H2k on the red side with Odoamne, Lulex, Ryu, Yarnan, Kissing, and Prolly. H2k playing with nothing to lose. But I was talking to Kissing a little bit earlier, and he said, well, we absolutely want to get this win. I mean, we've lost 4 games in the last couple of weeks. That is not what you want going into the playoffs. And honestly, he yesterday was extremely clutch in that game versus OG as well.
He was. His hooks on Niels were one of the only things that even gave H2k even the glimmer of winning in that game. But honestly, H2k, we looked at how their leads are in the game when it comes to gold leads at 10 and 20 minutes. Yesterday in the game against Origin, only a 434 gold lead at 10 minutes, so that's what we would have classed yesterday as even. And we know what happens with Origin when they go even. When it gets to that 20-minute mark, H2k, they were behind, 1.7k gold down. What do you expect when you go even against Origin at 10?
I always saw H2k as a pretty strong team in lane swap because they have this systematic gameplay. Like when they get started, they just keep taking all the turrets, and like against Origin, this stupid mistakes cost a lot, like just ganking top and then wow, okay, they have a Shen support. I guess he TPs top and we die, and just mistakes like that just costing them way too much when they could just lane swap and try to play like more systematic in a way.
Well, we'll see if they can rectify those mistakes in this matchup. It's time to head inside, so let's hand things off to Quickshot and Krepo.
Thank you very much, Analyst Desk. Myself and Crepo have moved over to the caster desk for the next 2 matches. And I want to remind everybody, in the event of tiebreakers, we can guarantee at least one. We will be playing up to 3 extra games today at the end of the broadcast. And if there are any additional remaining games, we will play those tomorrow before the North American LCS.
Yeah, if you have to end up playing your games at like 2 or 3 a.m., crazy shenanigans can happen like Blitzcrank on Frogger and Anivia in the mid lane, and we don't want to see that again. So we want to give the players enough rest so they can play the other matches tomorrow, worst case.
So we will be keeping you guys up to date as the day goes on and as we begin to lock in more of the results. For an example, if Gambit are able to pick up a win here against H2k, they will be tied in standings with Giants, and they are 1-1 in the head-to-head. So there's the possibility for a tiebreaker scenario between these 2 teams. Crepo, we are in picks and bans. Kalista's taken away from Hjarnan. Nidalee taken away from Diamond.
A lot of possibilities here today. Yesterday, in the wake of the loss of Forgiven, Gambit decided to play with 2 AD carries instead of 1. 1 in the mid lane, 1 in the bot lane. Wasn't enough. Fill that deficit. Let's see if they take a different approach today. Yes, I stole that tweet from Karen Mosen. This is the shout out. Let's go back to champs like Kalista banned, Thresh banned, Nidalee on the other side. Pretty standard right now. Keep your eyes on Rumble, keep your eyes on Ryze. See where they end up. Both top laners have a lot of carry potential. Coming into the split, Cabochard and Odoamne were taunted or lauded rather as some of the better carry top laners over in Europe. I think Odoamne proved that a little more, but I think Cabochard did more with less, if that makes sense. In a struggling team like Gambit, I feel like Cabochard really performed very well at times, so I definitely want to see more of him.
That's the story of Cabochard all split long. I'll see what he decides to lock in with Thresh, Shen, Ryze being removed. Siva is still up and available. Alistar still up and available, as is Gragas and Rek'Sai.
Getting Sivir to moves would actually be very big for Gambit Gaming here. That's why H2k banned it out, because if you have a player that is not comfortable on AD carry, he's an experienced mid laner, they also know how to press R. Therefore, that could work in your favor. Let's see if the also valued Corki will make its way to first pick right now. Rumble is open, so Gambit may have to steal this away. Obviously, H2k is aware of that and have a potential counter ready. How good is Odoamne's Riven?
Yesterday, Gambit prioritized Varus and Alistar. They were red side, of course. All jungle as well. Priority junglers are still up. Instead, they're going to look for Cabochard's Fizz. Currently undefeated, 76% kill participation. 2 games played.
Yeah, a bit of a split push threat. And can duel people. Can dive the backline. Used to be played with Cinderhulk. He seems to be hovering Smite, Teleport, which means he might actually still make that build, which kind of got nerfed a little bit. So I prefer to see the full-on AP or even Triforce Fizz, but just with Ignite. Just have that extra offensive potential. Get a strong jungler on Diamond procs and then get that synergy going 2v2 top. There's almost no matchup you lose if you get a jungler like Nidalee, which is banned right now, obviously. So perhaps they just a Gragas straight up and then get the Ignite in there 2v2. If you're playing with an extra combat summoner, you should be able to win that. H2k look to pick up Alistar, pretty standard. Gragas for Lulex. He has only played Gragas and Rek'Sai this split, I believe, so very not so keen on going outside of that champion pool.
Crepo, 8 games of Gragas, 7 games of Rek'Sai, and then only 1 Olaf and 1 Evelyn. So for Lulex, it's a champion pool of 2, but the team is locked into 3rd, so
I think
worked most of the time.
I like it when Kasing plays something a little tanky, because then it doesn't leave Lulex as a sole tank for H2k. Traditionally in their losses, he's the one that gets focused out and is forced to engage a lot, and then kind of overreaches a bit, and H2k leave him hanging too. And then he gets these crazy score lines where people are like, yeah, Lulex, he's dying all the time here, but in a single tank engage composition,
it's what happens.
It's what happens usually.
Corki once again for Moops. So in terms of your tiers, Kalista gone, Sivir gone, Corki up there. We've seen Hjarnan play the likes of Jinx multiple times this split, albeit it is usually with something like a Thresh.
I believe.
What will we see him this time?
I believe H2k always has to be thinking, what is Gambit going to close the draft out with? And it's likely going to be Jace or Varus in the mid lane. Usually when you see Corki bot and an AP damage top, you really want to get that poke champion in the mid lane. That might be predictable in that sense. I believe Fizz actually does okay into Rumble, because you can dash in, proc your passive on the W and then just Playful Trickster out of range in the animation of Rumble E. So you dodge one of those harpoons, maybe get hit by one on the way out, but you should be fine in that matchup. So H2k looking more for the composition and comfort picks rather than straight matchups. I like Tristana though. I think she's a very strong champion. Really want to see more of her. I think she in 2 steps as well, can really get kills in lane still. And I think it's one of the only champions that can really achieve that right now. Outside maybe Kalista being played well, but she's usually banned. So I like to see more Tristana.
Definitely been the case in recent weeks with that Kalista ban. Up there around 47 bans in total this split. So there's that poke mid laner you were anticipating, Crepo. And it looks like Gosu's going to lock in this support Morgana. A little bit of disengage. That Black Shield could be incredibly powerful against the Alistar engagers.
Alistar engages and into the Gragas as well. When Gragas slams into it, Body Slam Flash, immediately he's going to cast his Explosive Cask right after. You can wait for that Body Slam to connect if it's not on Morgana. Just immediately cause Black Shield and the follow-up engage is gone. And then Gragas just gets focused down. So this is a very standard poke composition, but I like it from Gambit. I think it's pretty clear what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what win conditions they have to play to. And that is definitely something you want to do when you're playing with a sub. Don't make it too complex. Say, okay guys, what are we good at? Grouping as 4 people somewhere in sieging, throwing out binds, following up with poke, or simply poking people out and preventing the engage toward your flanks. And then you have Cabochard who can either split push, draw one target away, or just flank in from the side and go for the dive.
Cabochard tried that on Kennen yesterday. Pulled it off actually multiple times against Elements.
Fantastic.
But unfortunately, it wasn't at the most vital of moments. The last lock-in here for H2k is going to be this Ahri for Ryu. The first time he played it was with the introduction of 5.13 when we changed the AP items. He went for a Rylai's Crystal Scepter, and if memory serves, it was Giants who he was playing against. That's a little irrelevant. What was good is his overall scoreline. 14, 1, and 4. Ryu went ham.
Yeah, he definitely went ham, and you need some gap closes when you play against Ahri, so you can at least nullify one of those charges she has on her ulti. Very skirmish heavy. I feel if Ahri can somehow group up around Tristana, one charm is enough to immediately take somebody down and get the resets going. Gambit usually just want to avoid fights. If you look at H2k, their hard engage is Body Slam Flash Cask or charm connecting. Perhaps Alistar, but Alistar usually gets used more as a peel tool or a secondary engage. Alistar straight up engaging into a Morgana is near impossible unless you get a Q flash off. So it'll be interesting to see how well H2k dance around this disengage and poke from Gambit, and how well Gambit, stay alive.
A lot of eyes going to be on Gosu Pepper as well. Will his Black Shield be on point? Will he be able to save his teammates? For Gambit, they are playing with that substitute. They are also playing to force a tiebreaker with a win here. And we'll need to see whether or not they can improve upon their performance from yesterday, the longest game of the summer split. If you think Gambit can do that, jump on Twitter, #GMBWin. Or will H2k, with no pressure on the shoulders, the fact that they are locked into third, will they win? #H2k win. I think I like both of these team compositions, Crepo. And I'm looking forward to this Fisherman Fizz from Cabochard.
Yeah, it just boils down to how well, when Gambit are setting up and pacing around these objectives, how well the Equalizer can at least slow them down as maybe a primary engage tool, or just a follow-up once they flash out, jump out of some of the other engage tools. Getting a flank from Lulex would be big too. If you can get behind a poke comp, you almost have already won the game. Let's see. Usually when you see invades, at the source of the invade is a poor matchup either in the top lane or bot lane. That prompts teams to go for the standard deep wards. That's why more often level 1 we see people trying to catch them outright. So if they come at Cabochard, is going to go for the Oscar and try and bait them in, say, hey, I'm alone, please don't poke me, and then boom.
I think he's going to win that Oscar. Lulex gone for the early body slam.
Why would you?
But no other CC connects, and H2k have got a small numbers advantage. Crepo, we're on for a fight. That's a second body slam. Lulex gets caught by the Dark Binding, but Gambit are in retreat. And it's H2k that will get themselves some deep wards.
Now let's see why they would need those wards. Perhaps they feel it has to be almost to keep the Fizz down. Rumble in a lane swap does incredibly well because it's a utility champion in the sense that even if he gets to level 6 with very few CS, he has a lot of high base damage on his Flame Splitter, his ultimate. He's good in these fights, whereas Fizz is the ultimate skirmisher. If you can lane swap on one split pusher on the enemy team, you tear apart part of their strategy already. Their backup plan, their combat mechanic is gone in that sense. However, Gambit look to settle into normal lanes here too. So Fizz will be double jungling for a while. And let's see how early Gambit is going to move into H2k's jungle on the right side of the map, because they have no clue where H2k is starting if their camps are being stolen away. When you see this, usually they forgo the Wraith camp and go straight into the camp and then peel back the jungle later. Camp being done here on the side of Gambit Gaming. Very traditional-ish start after a bit of a rough face check.
H2k's duo lane did settle themselves up top, as we can see Cabochard and Diamond now splitting apart. Long time since these two teams played. Different levels of performance as well. There is a very early invade, I feel. 2.5 minutes. Diamond's actually going for the Wolf camp.
Yeah, standard. They're splitting up the map right now. Left side is for H2k, right side belongs to Gambit. The only thing that differs in a lane swap is how teams distribute their experience. We saw a camp being done, as we see some trades here in the mid lane, on the side of Gambit's bot lane. This means that that'll be slightly stronger. However, H2k did not do the camp on the bot lane, so they leave more farm for Lulex to pick up, who's actually traditionally behind a bit early game, and they go immediately for the 3-man push. You see our bot lane can handle a little less farm. You know, we don't need that extra camp. We'll immediately push the tower, bounce the wave, and get Rumble ahead. Let's see if we can prevent Fizz from doing the same. Tristana is really good at tower pushing if she skills her E. You can tell the intent of what players are doing, whether it's Tristana skills E early or not, as well, because obviously there's no way back once you've skilled it.
So minion wave not being denied just yet. H2k actually seem relatively content to...
No, they're just putting it low. You don't want to get that scenario where you suddenly start eating a couple tower shots and you get a free chip to base. Perfect bounce.
Bounce that one perfectly. Down in the bottom half, let's evaluate Moops and Cabo. We can see Gosu's already got some deep wards in lane as well.
No pickaxe on Hjarnan. Very, very early base here, but it's fine. They just want to keep the momentum. The first move has been made by H2k. Traditionally, when H2k was in their prime, them making the first move would mean they would then eventually put you checkmate somewhere and just dive you straight up.
Okay, even gold, as we can see. Towers equalized. H2k's duo is heading down bottom. In these lane swaps, mid laners are always left to their own devices, and Ryu and Betsy are farming up as best they can. Betsy starts with that long sword.
Bit of a cheesy play here from Gambit, hiding in the brush, knowing that Cabochard... Ooh. See, what prompts this play, it may look weird, is Gambit know they only have about 5 or 10 seconds to get this play going. Otherwise, they will be just too late to the top lane, and as a team, they're losing experience. What Pepper was trying there was to predict a jump from Hjarnan. Obviously, Hjarnan can see the animation, see where it's going, and still jump. Even if you get snared, you kind of can jump in the snare almost if you time it right. So it's incredibly hard to do that on a Tristana. But yeah, they were pressured for time. That's what prompted the rush on that play. And then Cabochard didn't feel comfortable laning against Twist here. She bullies incredibly well 1v1, so he wants to go back, but now his lane will be in a bit of a wonky spot over in the top lane.
For Moops, though, small advantage when he gets to back. He should be able to come back with at least a completed component of that Trinity Force, and with Hjarnan's, was it what, 12 CS, 17 CS when he backed? And he got boots in that longsword, trying to shove this wave under the tower.
Yeah, but look at that minion wave as well. It's going to be hard for Moops to lose it under a tower. At the same time, not being traded upon or just lose damage on the tower. H2k is keeping up the momentum. They move Lulex top right now as well, as you see on your minimap. Just a shadow on the Wamna. His top lane is no longer frozen, but they're putting pressure. So now they actually have the stronger 2v2, even though Cabochard has that ignite. So that's a good strategic play here, because Diamondbox, he's been power farming.
Of course, this is a good play for H2k. Grouping and putting pressure on Gambit, not giving the poke chance to itemize and scale up. Late on that black shield from Gosu means Moops gets knocked up in the air. Ignite comes down onto Hjarnan as he's backing away, and Kasing trying to wave up.
The black shield was late for the CC, but it still blocked the damage from the jump from Tristana. Remember, that is still magic damage over there, so that kind of helps out. But yeah, that was very a little slow. Like also Pepper. That's what I like with these combos. I love using Tristana's W offensively and saving your flash as a defensive tool. I really think it adds to the training in lane and also amplifies your damage more than just a W. I believe it has an interaction with the E. Look at Diamondbox right now. He wants to get to level 6 and start putting some global pressure with these tunnels everywhere. Meanwhile, this wave is going to bounce back, so Odoamne should be safe if he wards his flank here on the right side. Plays with respect.
See Gambit with that tremor sense. Diamond making his way up to see Odoamne backing. And despite the fact that the power farming from Diamond's coming, and you can see Betsy as well as Ryu in this mid lane still farming away up. 50 CS Betsy going to place a ward down and even spot Ryu out.
So yeah, Ryu hides at the max end of the brush because he doesn't want to get chunked by Betsy when he places that ward. Now Ryu has an idea of when the ward went down, so in the next 2 minutes, Ryu knows that only the right side of mid lane is warded. He can communicate this to Lulex. This is why you see Betsy leaning towards the right side of the lane very often as well, unless he actually gets his jungler with him. It's these little things that you really want to do, exchange information. Ryu is even on CS, but he has had the pressure on Betsy so far. Betsy's out of mana too, so this is why Lulex wants to cancel the base. Again, pressure. You don't really see this in the gold count. You don't see this in items, but you see it on the minimap. You know, who's making the first move. Putting pressure on your opponent is step 1 to victory.
Gambit will have to figure out how to handle that to get there. Step 1 to victory. Maybe it's a gank from Diamond. Knockup does connect. You see the challenging smite come out. Cabo shot throws Chum the Waters. And a good defensive flash from Odawamne. I just quickly want to mention, we saw that graphic pop up for Betsy. Betsy's 3 games played, 0 losses on Jace.
He's a really good Jace player. Good steal here by Lulex.
2 equalizer's not there yet. Odawamne's not 6. First blood for Cabo Shard. Diamond's going to lose his life to the tower. And Lulex wants to get the big belly down. He does. Cabo gets connected with the body slam. Double kill for Lulex.
It looked grim for a second, but Lulex is aware of how long the cooldown on Playful and Trickster is afterwards. And yeah, somebody has to tank that tower eventually. Good counter kill here. Odawamne still has his teleport. He can use that to go back to the top lane if he wants, but he can also use it to go back to bot lane.
Odawamne's got access to equalizer this time round. H2k going to secure a tower, force Moops away.
Yeah, this might be a multi-layered play. Moops still hasn't base, so he's on first base. He's playing around with the Dorans. Yes, Yana may only have a Dorans and a longsword, but H2k can push in this tower. Ryu is still pushing mid lane. Betsy is still out of mana like we mentioned earlier. This could lead into a dragon as well for H2k. That's why Odawamne goes bottom, because Lulex at the same time pushed the top. That minion wave, somebody has to deal with it. That takes 1 member away from Gambit. The other members are weak, either out of mana or low on items. And they're bouncing the wave as well. H2k, more methodical right now.
And Crepper, something you talk about very frequently is when you have aggressive pushing lanes, looking at the jungler and the impact they have. Lulex is showing his face in multiple lanes. He helped Odawamne out. He defended a dive. He's shoved towers down. H2k playing smart, they get their second tower and a small advantage as we're seeing some more back. Sheen and BF Sword picked up thanks to that involvement in the bottom lane.
Yeah, they don't seem to be interested in the dragon. They rather keep the momentum up. Spending time doing a dragon could, you know, cost you later on. So HK decide to base, redistribute their lanes. They don't want Odawamne 1v1 against Fizz on that long lane. Hjarnan has a jump. Has to be careful though. Cabashard has a lot of damage.
And Cabashard has first blood. And he has a CS lead over Odawamne. Now, we always say Rumble doesn't need as much resources to be effective, but have they done enough?
Slowly taking away on that top wave, so he's taking his time. He's gonna make that lead bigger, which means HTK need to do something on the map, and they come late to blue buff, so this is good for Gambit Gaming. See Betsy pick it up, so it's gonna be hard to siege into mid lane too. See if Ryu can punish this, probably not, just 1 to 2 hits every time. And then H2K has a response, say, yeah, we can't deal with this Fizz 1-on-1, not even 2-in-1, so we bring 3 people to the party.
And Cabo's in trouble. Gonna try turn it around on Hjarnan. Buster shot knocks him away. Explosive shot flashed away. Playful Trickster doesn't get the damage, and Cabo knows he's done.
I really like the use of aggressive W's from Hjarnan here, saving his flash in a direction. You can always dodge Playful and Trickster if you flash at the right frame, because it's impossible for somebody else to predict. Ryu.
Oh, Ryu does manage to dodge the Dark Binding, goes aggressive on the second charge. It's 1 remaining. Odawamne does not have Equalizer. Flame Spitter's out, connects with a Harpoon, connects with a second. Defensive flash from Betsy, defensive flash from Gosu will not be enough. H2K get a kill.
I believe that Charm actually still hit Betsy there, and Black Shield was late again, so Gosu Pepper will have to amp up the speed on that one. Otherwise, Gambit might be in trouble.
Gambit are in trouble already. H2K just pushing. Gambit's response has been limited at best. We can see Lulex, they're donating a blue buff to Ryu. He picked up that Cinder Hulk a few minutes ago, already starting to become tanky. Diamond, who we're just catching a glimpse of now, actually went Warrior. 0, 1, and 1. He is going to find his opposite number. Group's going to move in. Take a look at Odawamne. A few seconds before that Equalizer becomes available. Odawamne starts overheating. Teleport channeled from Cabo Shah. That's a good kill for Gambit. Caught out the Gragas. H2K should be able to get away from this one.
H2K playing too aggressive rather towards their weak side. Did not have teleport available. Even if they did, Odawamne was already there, so they were in a numbers disadvantage if you count in that top laner that can obviously teleport. Now they go for a group siege in mid. This should be the tower down in mid.
So despite losing a member, H2k get Caboshot's teleport and a tower, which means Odoamne with 25% cooldown remaining on his TP should have a small window where H2k can make aggressive plays, maybe a dragon play, something similar. Or maybe they don't need to wait.
It's not all over for Gambit, however, because so far in this game, every time H2k have had to deal with Fizz on Caboshot, multiple people were involved. So there's no straight-up candidate to take him on 1v1. He's scaling relatively well. 70 CS, obviously at 12 minutes, isn't the highest. But he's doing better than his direct counterpart. Maybe they want to send Ryu over later, but he still won't be able to deal with him all too well. He can maybe just neutralize the threat. That's the best thing H2k can hope for. And then the remaining 4v4, they will have to get an advantage there. And they have.
And I mean, Ryu is kind of the primary wave clear for H2k. Tristan's going to need a couple auto attacks and that explosive satchel to blow. Gragas has got limited, but really if Ryu's not at a tower with that Orb of Deception, wave clear from Gambit could stall time, could buy them some opportunities to claw their way back into this. And H2k with their lead, with their pushing lanes, with the towers down, are getting some deep vision as well.
Yeah, good reaction play here because Caboshot is taking a sweet, sweet time over in the top lane to deal with that wave. Obviously, he doesn't want to push out too quickly. It opens up more members on the other side of the map to ward deep in the enemy jungle. So if your lane is frozen on the left side, traditionally you will see deep vision on the right side, and then you need an advantage. The problem is you're playing into very heavy wave clear, both mid and bot, and tier 1 towers are down. This makes the game a lot trickier, a little more susceptible to counterplay. However, H2k have proven in the past that they can deal with this. And yeah, we might see some rotations come out or potential straight up dives.
Positive play from H2k though.
They have to almost.
Yesterday, H2k fell behind Origin. Origin had a pretty intelligent way of dealing with globals.
This is what we mean. Look how Moobs clears that wave together. You know, Betsy's there too, but one big one and a Phosphorus Bomb is enough to clear all the caster creeps. And then people can't commit to melee range on that tower. Which means they have to move out now. Betsy goes back to mid, clears out the ward. So Gambit are fighting back the vision control here, and Caboshot, he's drawing more people to him if they have to deal with him. LC has the free pressure on the lane, and he will always push out top.
We'll have to see how effective that pressure is for Cabo, because Gambit are still behind in a lot of the metrics. But as you mentioned, Crepo, there is a lot of opportunity for Gambit to claw themselves back.
And look at Odoamne's positioning in that top lane right now. He is staying back because he has to. He knows he can't duel Caboshot, but at the same time, he is conceding farm. Every wave, 3 or 4 CS, he's losing.
57 CS at 15 minutes. Odoamne's Rumble has been shut down before. Sing's going to get the Pulverize and gonna head.
Gragas just got bound. I heard a binding in the screen, yeah.
So Lulex is now in trouble. So Gambit may be able to get one. That cask, little awkward. Diamond's managed to make his way out. Tunnel plus Flash. And actually both junglers get out alive. Ryu, he's not done. 1 dash, 2 dashes, holding the charm. Does connect it on the side. Hyonin gets the kill credit.
Yeah, good move by Gambit, trying to punish the top laner under the tower, but they do it with too little vision, and this is something we've seen more of this split. Diamond procs has been face-checking. He gets lulled into this false sense of security because of Tremor Sense, but if they're not moving, you won't spot them, and then he's behind on the momentum. Lulex obviously walks into a binding, but manages to stay alive, and then H2k collapse quicker because the play is happening in their jungle.
To give H2k their 5th kill of the game, 2 of which are on Hyonin, 2 of which are on Lulex. He's already got Ninja Tabby completed, building up that Cinder Hulk, and involved in 4 of his 5 team's kills.
Yeah, we were questioning Lulex at times when they play behind, but when H2k does well, it seems to be on the back of him, at least in these plays. He's shadowing the right lanes, ganking for the right people, moving around the right parts of the map. Yes, he got caught there, but he was like a security blanket for the remaining laners. Somebody had to enter a skirmish at that point, and it's obviously best if it's your tank Gragas.
Security blanket Gragas might be the next skin. The blanket will eat 1 more binding, gets a lobster dinner as well, knocked up by Earth. 2-man body slam before he goes down. Gambit get themselves 3 assists and a kill.
In traditional H2k fashion, Ryu has now moved to the bot lane. This is the staple trademark of H2k gaming. In the mid game, if they can somehow make it work, Ryu will move to the side lanes. Hyonin will go into the mid lane. This opens up Kasing to roam left and right and just further get deep vision into the jungle. However, the sad trademark of H2k recently is that they kind of overextend and get caught as well.
The interesting thing about that trend, Crepo, is that it helped H2k accelerate to a top 3, top 4 team. But But that trend does not allow them to get to top 1, top 2, because Origin and Fnatic have both beaten H2k twice. They are 0 and 4 against the number 1 and number 2 teams.
They are, but this is correlation and causation. I don't think they're 0 and 4 against the top teams because they send Rio bot. I think the problem lies ever so slightly deeper than that. But that's a whole different segment. But it is true, H2k have risen to a staple top 3 team, but they have yet to really outperform the other top 2 teams right now. But that's not what they're looking for. They're just looking for this confidence, this morale boost going into the further remaining parts of playoffs. They're obviously locked into playoffs already. Just want to feel good about themselves, you know, get the momentum from this one victory in the next two weeks, start practicing really hard, you know, analyze VODs. Yarnan again, another aggressive W with red buff. I'm liking it.
Doing get some damage forward. That satchel, explosive charge rather, will put a little bit of pressure onto Betsy. We see him defending. H2k again, just pushing Gambit deeper and deeper into their own territory.
Yeah, and just keep people within response range of that Fizz. If he goes aggressive, then at least 1 or 2 members can follow up and make the kill go 1 for 1. That's what you want to do. If you play against split push as a team that likes to, you know, skirmish or group, what you do is you just want to keep grouping on the split pusher. He's incredibly potent 1v1, but he often lacks the properties that make people so good in holding lanes, and because he can't wave clear, he has no like escapes really, except that Playful and Trickster, so you just push him back yourself. Once you have a number advantage on that split pusher, his dueling threat obviously goes down.
We're a few seconds away from Dragon. H2k backed, pick themselves up a few items. Odoamne even using Equalizer just to clear this wave, despite the fact that Dragon is up.
Correct play, in my opinion. Otherwise, he was at risk of getting dove. It looks like Gambit was trading this Dragon position-wise for an aggressive play on the top lane. H2k realized that they probably can get this Dragon or momentum on the bot lane if they just stall this wave on the top lane. They had wards, they saw Diamond procs coming. A jungler will never commit to the top side of the map when Dragon is up, if they're actually still interested in the Dragon.
And you can see all of the wards for H2k placed on the top half of the jungle. They would have seen Diamond making his way up to those Krugs.
And then Rio just gets deep vision because they know Gambit is playing towards the top side of the map, which means their bottom side of the map is exposed. This is a good call still by Gambit. Second Dragon doesn't really matter all that much if they can keep their bottom tower alive. This is what they have to watch out. Don't trade 2 towers or 1 tower plus Dragon for a tower. Then you're making a mistake.
Cabochard does have teleport available if anything were to happen, but H2k don't have a minion wave to play with. Cleared out there by that excellent wave clear that both Betsy and Moops are bringing to the table. However, the next Conga line's coming in, and with all of the vision in the jungle, H2k have got a lot of time to play with.
They can't do anything against this wave, or they have to straight up dive. If Betsy uses the AoE properly and the rockets will chip away at these minions before they even reach the tower, and at that point people are in engage range, so this push gets thwarted completely. H2k have to push in and rotate.
Well, Odoamne, he's getting caught out. Chum the Waters is down. Here comes Diamond as well. Knockout. Not even going to be needed. Sniped with a Pricey.
He wanted an assist on that play, but ended up stealing it. I think he should have smited earlier. Cabochard really needs that kill earlier, and this is, again, H2k spent too much time in the bottom lane, and Cabochard did an incredibly good thing. He killed that tier 1 tower, but he bounced the wave backwards, which means if Odoamne wants to touch any farm, he has to come all the way into the lane, and obviously he has to get close to those rushes, and good trigger by Cabochard.
And Odoamne blew his flash as well, so didn't get away. Summoner spell used. And Kasing. Oh, cheeky. Mess with the bull and you get the horns. Kasing steals away the Raptor. Game-changing play. H2k hold on to a small gold lead.
Rio is playing Assassin. After those, obviously if you keep people pushed in for a very long time, they will never have deep wards in that area. They will not have wards behind you, which means they have to face check a lot of brushes in full vision. Gambit's smart enough not to do that. They have no reason to go there. Dragon's been down. Yeah. The only reason you would go in there is to get maybe you're on red buff or contest the enemy blue buff later, but Gambit's fine conceding that, because they're playing towards wherever Cabochard is. However, he might hop over soon though, by Rio.
I distinctly remember when Ryu played that Ahri against Giants. Oh, Chum the Waters is available in just a second. Cabochard, he's going to hop over. Playful Trickster. Chum the Waters doesn't connect. Ryu dodges so much.
And that was one of the reasons Fizz has fallen off as a champion, because you can now flash the Q from Fizz, and then a good move from Rio getting out of there. I think it's really greedy to try and kill that small red buff minion after you've stolen the buff, but hey, who am I to disagree with Rio? Just wants all that CS. Now this leaves top tower exposed, and if you can beat the wave clear to the tower, then you can siege. Because then they don't have that AoE setup anymore. They can't instantly clear, but usually they chip away at these waves. Good move by Hjarn here. And 1E combo.
Cabochard and Betsy, they've got it. Kasing, he gets himself a 2-man knockup. Knocks Cabochard away, and Hjarn picks up his 3rd kill of the game. Gambit getting a little caught out under their own tower, and H2k secure their 4th kill of the game.
Kasing called the bluff there. He said, okay, you just use your gap closer offensively, you're not running flash. You would only do this if your entire team is with you and you're going for like a panic hard engage, but obviously they weren't. Gambit was still rotating over, so good pulverized flash. 2 people knocks Cabochard back and completely waste of engage. Gambit were just, they were chasing a loss right there. So they tried to bluff, but they got caught.
Hjarn again, aggressively rocket jumping forward. He's got that zeal and infinity edge.
As long as you have your flash, it is the correct play in many scenarios.
Flash plus buster shot. A lot of breathing room for Tristana players. Growing in strength. Moops did have that Trinity Force and Sork shoes for a little while.
And if look at how big that wave on the bottom is right now. Let me just quickly check on my screen. There's about 8 or 9 caster creeps in that wave, and another one coming. This is due to the fact that Gambit can't overextend in the bottom side of the map anymore. Any farther than their trucks, they were at risk of getting caught out. Then H2k rotated on the top. They dragged Gambit all the way to the top side. Result, massively stacked wave on the side for H2k here. Odoamne can just immediately AoE that up. This is how you gain gold advantages in the mid game. You basically force waves to slow push towards you because your enemies are too afraid to check any farther to really push them out. That's how you squeeze out the gold. Every little penny.
And considering in the early game, Hjarn was able to get himself a CS lead over Moops, which he maintains. Despite the deficit that Odoamne is facing with the towers and a couple of waves here and there, he's actually only 300 or 400 gold behind Cabochard, despite being 40 CS down.
Gold isn't what dictates this matchup. Champion picks is obviously Fizz will be the better duelist with Ignite on top of that too, but Odoamne brings so much more to a team fight.
That's kind of what H2k seemed to be looking for. All the deep vision they placed in this bottom half of the jungle timed out a while ago. So H2k brute forcing their way in, killing off Gambit's pink wards and placing vision of their own. When they've done this the last 2 times, they've tried to siege that inner turret.
All right, H2k is on a timer right now. They have to deal with top wave, at least send somebody back. So instead of making this forced push on the bottom, they just let Odoamne base, defend on their tower, and both have teleports up. They're stuck under this tower in bottom lane again. That's why they sent Ryu to the mid lane to facilitate a potential rotation. He's also in position right now to flank Odoamne, or flank for Odoamne on Cabochard, should that be needed. So I like this, more spreading out from H2k. Sitting in one lane 4v4 hasn't been the greatest for them. Spreading out your resources until eventually Gambit make a mistake and get caught in their own jungle somewhere is the correct play.
Well, Odoamne is just playing sweeper for the moment. Every time a wave gets shoved into top or bottom lane, thanks to the fact that he's got that teleport, he just moves in to sweep it out. We haven't seen Hjarn leave bottom. He pick up that Phantom Dancer relatively recently. And Dragon number 3 will be up in 5 seconds, Crepo. Gambit conceded the previous one for top tower. They do not seem to want to concede this one as easy.
And this is the first time a Gambit member is stepping into this river in the last 10 minutes. You saw that as well when the camera turned on the vision only from Gambit. They don't have any wards right here, so they're playing with an information deficit, and that means you either have to face take or concede the objective. Diamond Fox confirming what he was suspicious of. Yeah. They're doing the dragon. 3 dragons to H2k right now.
Aspect is 12 minutes away. Gambit starting to crumble under the pressure. Maybe it's a little harsh, but...
It's probably when you play poke and you get slightly behind against a team that plays the map well. It's just a lot harder. Instead of needing 2 pokes to chunk somebody out, you know, and get the momentum, this takes another cooldown rotation, a 3rd poke, and it's incredibly hard to keep landing that. If you're pushing people in, you force them into defensive movements. Say you're sieging onto a tower, somebody's defending that. They have to walk to the minions, easy poke. However, if you're getting pushed in, they can take every angle, sidestep. They can dodge in 4 directions. If you're putting pressure on somebody, you eliminate the dodge forward, because if they do, they just die. So then now they can only dodge in 2 or 3 directions, and obviously that momentum scales forward.
Cabochard wants to get some more momentum. With the help of Gosu. Odoamne. Close.
It's going to take a while. Rumble.
Yes.
Taking sweet time.
Not flame spittering this one. But for Gambit, 7 and 10 at the moment. They're looking for a win to force a tiebreaker with Giants. If H2k win, Gambit may find themselves out of the playoffs. May. There's so many possibilities.
So many possibilities, but we were talking about Odoamne, how he was lacking some progression in a sense in the top lane, that whenever he got split pushed on or got put behind, he was getting caught a lot. This time he's played so safe. And good rotation, open tower here. They're going to trade tier 2 for tier 2 possibly, but they're grouping up. But I just want to touch on that Odoamne point. He's been playing with so much respect and so safe that nobody make a pick on him, not allowing Gambit to, you know, outscale really in that split push department. And I just want to commend him for that. It's been fantastic play so far from him.
Now Cabochard's in trouble. He may be able to get the tower. It may cost him his life. Let's find out. Tower will be dropping. Equalizer is going to cut off one escape path. Odoamne is...
It's not going to cut off anything. That was a mistake.
Playful trickster. Sorry, I may have spoken far too soon. Spirit Rush has been used. Chum the Waters even connects. Cabochard's looking to turn this one around. He will be going down.
Watch mid lane though. This is... H2k are committing 3 members, 2 ultimates, a flash to the top lane, leaving only 2 in the mid lane.
Hashtag worth.
Yes, hashtag worth.
Gambit have grouped effectively though. Will punish the lack of H2k members and get themselves a 4th tower of the game. I retract the statement. No longer worthy.
Well, you never specified who it was worth for. So hashtag worth for Gambit.
Saving me twice in 2 days, Crepo. Thank you for that.
But yeah, now the push on top lane is going, but this was good by Cabochard. And this is what top lane Fizz with Ignite is all about. Drawing pressure, making sure nobody can 1v1 you, even 2v1 you at times. They need to bring more members to the party. And H2k, they got greedy. They said, okay, we already committed 3 members to this, you know, assault, this flank. We have to kill him. Otherwise, it's not worth. And then they leave their mid lane exposed. That drops and they lose the momentum.
I think that's a good point to highlight. All of the momentum that H2k had built up leading up to 20 minutes is now becoming less valuable. With Gambit's ability to wave clear and defend, and the fact that Cabo's growing stronger and stronger and stronger, if Cabo plays the map effectively, he could open up opportunities for Gambit.
Definitely so. We'll have to take a look at the item builds right here. I want to see how well Ghost Pepper can survive in this fight. He went for the squishiest possible Morgana build, going for the Mikhails. The only thing really Mikhails build is part of the stun from the mini knockup, I believe from Gragas E, and then just Charm. That's it. That's all. And you can maybe cleanse a slow from Rumble Harpoons. So very peculiar Mikhails when there is no Aegis on the side of Gambit. Would have rather seen that on Morgana, so Diamondprox can continue speccing very defensively, selfish defensively after finishing that Warrior enchant. So maybe not good communication in terms of items yet on Gambit, because they really want an Aegis playing against Gragas, Odoamne on Rumble, and Rio on Ahri. There's a triple magic threats, even part magic on Tristana. The lack of Aegis is very, very worrisome for Gambit. It's not the first time either.
Kirana eats a giant accelerated shock blast. While all that's going on, teleports for both top laners, and Odoamne is about to go one-on-one with Cabo. Cabo jumps in.
Damage.
Cabo's jumped all the way in. Chum the Waters is hourglassed. They're going to end up trading.
Good push here, good binding on Ryu. This forces them out. Shoot Shock Blast too. Gambit can rotate to the bottom lane too, or just straight up dive mid lane. They have many options. They did actually fantastically well hanging on to this game, because we kept praising H2k, but H2k made a few minor mistakes, and against Gambit's composition that is so well thought out in terms of how they approach the game, you have to be very careful.
Now we see, how do H2k clear the waves? It's going to take a little while longer than it does for Gambit, but for Gambit, have a massive minion wave to work with. As it stands, the incredibly farm-fed Tristana is like one-shotting.
Still not a fan of what Gambit did right there. They made the right first 2 steps. You know, they got the Zonias away from Rumble. They chunked out Ryu in the mid lane. Why don't you rotate 5 people bot? Go to the non-wave clear side of this equation. Why would you keep more people in the mid lane? Bring the melee range Fizz to the mid lane when there's already your waves are being auto-cleared. Just go bot, and then that top wave will keep stacking, and the person to clear that will go after even farther away.
They do it eventually, Crepo, as you can see on your screen. Gambit have now got a numbers advantage down bottom. Will most likely get this tower.
And Diamondprox is just playing Echolocator here. He's using his Tremor Sense to find out who's joining the party. Obviously does not want to dive. Good move, good chunk. 70% of that tower just disappeared by a good rotation from Gambit.
The tides are slowly turning, and with the pressure and the bottom half of the map, Dragon number 4 could be avoided, as Gambit have current position. It will be spawning in 5 seconds.
Good timing on that play too. Cabochard has teleport. He says, we're not going to loiter around too long. I'm just going to straight up go to the top lane. It's likely that H2k will concede this because they have no clue whether I'm based or not. So preemptive move is good from Cabochard. H2k with the right answer in this situation. You're going to go to Dragon? Okay, we'll go straight to Baron, see if you react at least.
Gambit are reacting. All of the vision was up top. Teleport's coming down for Odawamne. He's going to get a slow one to move. Diamond comes in. Take a look. That's a huge shock blast. 3-man knocker from Diamond. We see that he's down. It is the kill credit that goes to Kasing. Hammer comes down as well as Cabashot. Baron secured by Ryu, in fact. They traded 1-for-1. Junglers are down. Kasing is the sacrificial cow that's left standing. Betsy flashes over the wall. Takes Ryu out. 1 for 3. H2k got Baron, but Gambit want more.
Honestly, this was good move by Diamondprox. He was tanky enough to force 3 people to come out and defend. I really don't like the approach from H2k, sending 3 members to peel on the jungle. Then you might as well turn it into a massive fight. They turn all their damage towards Baron to finish, but then they lose all their members in the process. They could have just sent Alistar and peeled you. And then if you send your jungler out of the pit, then what's the point, right? Because then it becomes a 50-50 between damaged abilities. Eventually Rio picks it up, but back at that one, Gambit finishes up. Let's watch that again. See how many members Diamondprox is drawing away. He's going to get charmed right before going to the wall. That's beautiful. Explosive cast is used in the process though, because Lulix assumed he was going in. Hjarn has to flash because he's getting chunked. And Ottawa, like, Cabashot could have technically stolen his Baron. That's the worrisome part about this exchange.
Hjarn was stuck on the Baron the entire time. The rest of H2k peeled for the fight. Hjarn stuck around on the objective. Only Hjarn and Odawamne left with Baron buff. 3 other members of the team got dropped.
Yeah, I like that Gambit also conceded the Dragon. No greedy plays here. The early base on the Dragon attempt from Cabashot is what facilitated this play, in my opinion. Because he came from the flank again. If he's untouched, in 1v2 situations, nobody can stop him, really. He has enough damage to just kill somebody 1v2 at this point. Good Black Shield.
Yeah. Good dog binding as well.
Nobody's near to follow up.
Connected. And for Gambit, this is turning into a very interesting game.
Look at that wave on top lane though, and they still have Baron buffs available. How are they going to hold? Their wave clear is obviously fantastic AoE, but not against this many Baron buff minions.
Baron buff minions, that's how you beat poke comps. And there's a whole heap of them. Tristana, given enough time, explosive charge is going to destroy that turret. Kasing's got the Righteous Glory down. He's looking for the engage. Unbreakable Will is up there. Caught Moobs. Moobs is down. Ryu taking him out. The Inhibitor's going to be the next target for H2k. Despite giving up the kills and a dragon, those Baron-empowered minions will be enough to get in super minions now in the top lane.
A good push by H2k after the entire exchange. Somehow the top lane was just massive, and then nobody really planned for that. Maybe they did, but I think Gambit should have just yielded. I think at that point it's fine to try, but you waste your summoners at the same time. You already put yourself behind in the next fight, and that's what you got to think about. You don't look at these plays within just a frame of 2 minutes. You have to look at these plays within a frame of 5 to 7 minutes. You really want to keep your summoners available for the next fight. You can deal with one inhibitor down. You can't deal with his flashes down on your AD carry. Flashes down still on Betsy from going over that wall earlier.
Remember those last 5 minutes?
Concede, don't feed. Let it go.
H2k have extended their gold lead to 2,000 once more.
Cabo connects.
Buster shot, knocks him away. It won't be enough though. Gonna jump, Hjarnan will be going down. No, he's not! The lifesteal's enough! Cabo shot just couldn't get the last couple of auto attacks. I was convinced that Hjarnan was dead to rights. Support on support action, but Gosu's going to run away. H2k now gonna zone away Gambit's wave clear. And this means they will be taking their 7th tower of the game. The amount of damage that's been built up. Void Staff, Death Cap for Ryu, Eye Edge, Cutlass, Phantom Dancer for Hjarnan, they are gonna shred.
The problem right now is Cabashot. Hang on, we're going for an engage.
They are. Lulex has knocked back Betsy. Betsy's gone in with the hammer. Hex Drink is only going to keep you alive a millisecond longer, but that's enough to take out Ryu. Diamond is stuck in the middle of the team. Despite getting a knockup, it does not matter. Aggressive rocket jump forward will get Hjarnan his 5th kill of the game. Another inhibitor will fall. H2k, do they want more?
Really like this Tristana and Hjarnan. It feels like a better Jinx for him in this meta game with the resets being easy, accessible, and having just the multiple jumps instead of the speed up. Classically, H2k are looking to close.
H2k will be closing this game out. They will confirm their 3rd place position. They did that yesterday, but with a convincing ending over Gambit, will earn themselves a confidence boost going into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and after that Baron, for Gambit, the troubling thing was that they didn't have a time enough to let Cabbage split push, create that pressure. They were like in a pressure vacuum. It wasn't, nothing was being done. And by the time it took him to go to the top lane and push out and draw somebody else away, their bot lane inhibitor or the mid lane inhibitor would already be under siege. So if he can't move out of that base to free up that resource, then obviously you have to play 5v5, and you don't really want to play 5v5 with Ignite Fizz unless you're very, very far ahead. So that Baron was crucial. Good call by H2k. They realized, okay, bottom right side of the map is lost. Make a play on the left side of the map. You know, this equates at this point in the game. Obviously, Dragon being done, let's start Baron. Even if they come, they have to face check. They'll be rash in their decision. We will be grouped. We will be playing with more information because they're coming into our warded area. Yeah, good play. It was a bit shaky in the way it played out, but from a holistically macro level, it was a solid play.
And also, all of the vision had already been placed. All of the wards around that Baron buff had been put down a couple of minutes before, so H2k were thinking 3, 4, 5 minutes ahead in terms of how they place those wards.
Well, obviously maximum 3 because wards only last 3 minutes.
Well, I was saying like 5 minutes before the play happened. Yeah. Planning it. But
big words lost longer. You were right, Trevor.
Semantics aside, Gambit 0-2 on the week. They have a summer split score of 7-11. Which means Giants are one step closer to securing that playoff position.
Yep.
If Roccat drop a game, there could be a tiebreaker battle between Roccat
and Gambit, then I believe.
Gambit for 6th place.
Then if Elements drop another game themselves, it's a triple tiebreaker right there. So
Yes.
that's what we're looking at. These teams that were 7-10 coming into the day, we'll see if they all lose. They will all be 7-11 at the end of the game, or end of the day rather. That's how scores work.
Yeah.
Very simple.
So
it all laid out.
TLDR, we will play 3 extra tiebreaker games today. We need to see a few more results.
If they happen, obviously.
You need to see a few more results. We will have to play a minimum of 1. That is a fact.
Yep.
But we need to see where those tiebreakers will take place. There are only 2 playoff spots left. One team places 7th, is safe for spring, and one team goes to the promotion tournament. And we don't know who those teams are going to be. We still need to see more results.
Very, very exciting finish, honestly,
Yes.
for the summer split, because at the start of the split, you're obviously planning out, and you know, what if these teams all tie, so it stays interesting towards the end. We got really lucky over in Europe. Obviously, not so much for the teams; they're obviously stressed out, but it's definitely fun for spectators alike.
Fun for viewers, fun for casters, it's fun for everybody at home. For somebody who's had a little bit of fun this game, we're going to hear from Kasing, who's about to have a chat with Pulse.
Thank you very much, Trevor. I'm here with Kasing after his win there. Now, Kasing, I've known you for a while now. I know you're a pretty self-critical player when it comes to the game. Your recent performances, you've been kind of on the down tilt. How's that been like for you as a player?
I think it's quite... I've been quite sad recently because I'm not used to losing. And since like most of the games that we've lost is either we were ahead or we kind of threw our lead that we just came back from, and losing those kind of games like it actually is more painful than like losing a game that we get stomped on. And yeah, I think even this game today, it showed we were kind of indecisive with some of our fights, and hopefully we like bounce back and make it like better in the playoffs.
Well, do you think you've shored up any of those issues? You talk about the indecisiveness, but this must be a big confidence boost winning that game against Gambit, a team who a lot of teams have feared. I was speaking to Huni, and he was like, the team we don't want to face is Gambit.
Well, I don't know. Gambit is like, since they don't have Forgiven, they're not as scary anymore, but I mean, I miss Forgiven, and I want to play against Forgiven.
Okay, so you want to play against Forgiven, but who do you want to play against in the playoffs? Because we had a lot of potential tiebreakers today, but out of those teams, who would you want to play? Who will give you the best chance?
Well, I think I have to say Giants. Like, we have an undefeated record against them, even when I wasn't in the team, so it should be fine to play against them.
Okay, strong words there. Kasing, congratulations once again on the win. We're going to throw it over to the analyst desk to take a look at that game.
Thank you very much, Pulse. And Kasing, good to see him smiling again because, as said, was a little bit down on himself after the last couple of weeks that haven't been ideal for H2k. So let's look at this game. Of course, Gambit still with a sub, but absolutely needing to win. And, well, it looked to me that it was going in a direction we've seen a couple of times from H2k when they've gotten behind. Oduwamne was getting pretty far behind in CS, even though you commended their lane swap this time around.
I think they played the lane swap really well, and then somehow still Kawachard managed to inch ahead of Odoamne. I don't know how he keeps doing it. I guess just a god, but yeah, I think overall they played pretty well. Like, they punished our extensions, and then unfortunately they overextended a couple of times themselves as well, giving a bit back to Gambit, but they managed to wrap it up pretty well together, especially like Kassing said that they've had problems with being indecisive, but that Baron call was really decisive, really good, and that just won them the game.
Yeah, it really did. And one of the biggest factors that H2k kind of had to deal with was just, as you alluded to with Cabochard, how much this game almost lived and died on that Fizz pick. Very first pick in the draft. That signals that you're going to need a little bit of help with wave clear from somewhere. They certainly had it from the Jace and the Corki, but once the Baron minions were out, H2k just kind of pushed towers down as if they were no worry at all.
I feel the problem with Gambit kind of is like they have this one playmaker who is Cabochard, and he's really, really good at it. But when he's like split pushing at top lane, it feels like his team doesn't really know what to do that well. Like for example, mid turret went down at like 28 minutes or something, and that turret is just really, really important because it opens up the entire map and it allows you to go deep ward and get that vision, so the Fizz can split push, and it just came down really late, and that was a huge problem for Gambit as well.
Yeah, I mean, they probably also realize the fact that they are playing with the sub and they're going to have to do something. Tried and put it all on Cabochard. Didn't work out. In this instance, though, it was H2k that was victorious. And earlier, we asked you who you thought was most prepared for the playoffs best of 5 format. And at Jay Nelson writes, H2k, in my opinion, all laners have strong, varied pools. Probably always has something up his sleeve. Thinking back to the 3-2 against SK Gaming, that was, of course, in the Spring Split playoffs over in Madrid. But looking at it the last couple of weeks, I mean, even from a confidence standpoint, that can't be fantastic going into the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, they are just not playing at the level they were playing at the start of the split, so they are looking a lot weaker, and they just need to pick up their game and play like they kind of did last game without the obvious overextension mistakes, and they should be good to go.
They do, but I think where they're currently at, they should still, as Kassing alluded to, be able to fight off the likes of Giants, the likes of the tied-up Hag now. So whoever joins them in the quarters is going to have to work hard to get past H2k, but I think H2k, using that, should be okay to get into a semi-final spot.
And they have a week to chill, or rather practice getting into that as well. And speaking of SK Gaming, though, they will be facing Elements in our next match as Froggen and co try to grab a last-minute spot in the postseason. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm super tired.
Just look at Ryu.
Yeah.
He's so energetic.
Look at Ryu for energy.
Yeah.
Just absorb it.
And Lulex wants to get the big belly down. He does. Cabo gets connected with the body slam. Double kill for Lulex. Hammer comes down as well as Cabochard. Baron secured by Ryu, in fact. They traded 1-for-1. Junglers are down. Kassing is the sacrificial cow that's left standing.
I can engage on moves.
Careful. Ult in. Careful at least.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine. Just take it slow.
Can you flash? Take
it slow.
They are. Lulex has knocked back Betsy. Betsy's gone in with the hammer. Hex Drink is only going to keep you alive a millisecond longer, but that's enough to take out Ryu. H2k will be closing this game out.